Can't help it, the truth hurts. So we'll try to get this out. This will take me, it depends on, but it shouldn't take very long. I do want to just say appreciation to Pastor Scott and Melissa and the staff here and the leadership of the church. Give them some appreciation for all they do. And also probably ought to give a little appreciation to the cooks. I don't know who the cooks are, but I never did. I know Gary Hawkins a long time. I didn't know he could cook. So that's been a new acquired something. Anyway, what we're going to do today, and I appreciate such a large group. I hope we have enough copies for all that. You may have to share. If you don't get one today, in the office tomorrow, you can pick one up. So I'm just going to share a little bit here, and then we're going to read a report. I mean, before we hand out the report, I'm just going to explain it a little bit before we start. Before we got here, some of you will have heard this already, but I just want to kind of go over it again. We didn't just do this in the blind. For some of you who don't know this, before we arrived on Thursday, we received a self-study that your church did with a group of people, and it was about that thick. We received a mystery worshipers report. You may not know this, but we had 6 visitors in your midst who are spying on you for first impressions. I have a set of 29 points that they're looking for first impressions of Methodist churches, and so they were at your church over the course of 3 months. We have their report, their data, and all their comments. They're not always pleasant, so I'll warn you when you read one of them. You're not going to get that today. If you want to see the Secret Mystery Worshipers Report, you can see Pastor Scott. It's really not something we print out and hand to everybody because they just make comments, and there's not any screen to that. Does that make sense? And so a lot of times it may offend you to read some of what they had to say, but you do need to know that was their experience of your church that day. And so it's not your experience, but it is their experience. So we've had that in our hand. We also had the missional demographic study of Harrisonville, and we're looking for what it looks like versus what you look like. Here's for instance, your average age of your church is 62. The average age of the people who live in Harrisonville is 59. So you're 39, sorry. Yeah, I wish it was, yeah, to be an old town. Sorry, now I'm confused. 39, that's what, 21 years difference? You're older. You have very few kids at this church, or you only 28 kids or so under 6th grade that regularly participate in your church. That ought to frighten you, by the way. Frightens me for you. But in Harrisonville, the single largest growing segment of people are young people with children, the very thing you don't have. So those are the things we look for between what is going on in the community versus what is going on at your church. The second fastest growing section of people in your town are people over 60. You're good there. Got that one. But you're not gaining many of those folks either, but we're ready for them if they were happen to come. So we've had all 3 of those studies, Kay and I and Georgianne Fisher from Butler. She was here on the team. She was at home today teaching her 2nd grade class. And so we said that was more important than being here. So that's where she's at. And they've helped us with that as well. So we were here all day Friday interviewing. We had 12 interviews with staff, your pastor, Melissa, lay leadership, paid staff. We had a focus group Friday night with folks who come pretty regularly to your church but aren't in the leadership positions and asked them questions. We asked your administrative council Saturday morning questions that got in our mind after Friday, and that it's like you confused us. And that usually happens when you have interviewed 12 people and read all the stuff. When you lay down Friday night, I'm like, I'm confused. And so we usually generate questions from that for the leadership, and that Kay led that section. And yesterday from 10 to 2:30 or so, we had a teaching time. Prior to even getting here 6 weeks ago, Kay, your coach, was here and did a pre-workshop that talked about how the culture is changing and 5 practices, how churches need to do 5 practices as well. And so there's been a lot of work going to being here, so it's just not the 36 hours that we're here. Of course, we are here preaching today, experience your worship services and all that. So, and probably for good or bad, you'll have to see how you think. I have had a lot of experience in and out of the Harrisonville church, and so that's unusual for me, and you would be the only one that I could say that to, unless I went home to Creighton, and they probably wouldn't let me come home to tell them what I think. So that's for good or bad. We have quite a bit of knowledge about the Harrisonville church. So I just want to say appreciation to everybody. This is going to be a hard report for some of you that's got some really hard decisions in it. I'm not going to kid you about that. We didn't do it lightly, but we did do it thinking these are the things you need to do if you have a chance to reach in a more younger, diverse group of people. And so I didn't, it's going to have some hard decisions. So I just want you to know that. And we know that, and we want you, the number one rule today is I don't want you to decide anything today. The worst thing you could do is make a snap judgment, oh, I don't like that. Or even to say, oh, I like it. I want you to take it home and be in prayer. I want you to reread it tonight after the football games, and your favorite team wins, probably. I don't want you, and then over the course of the next 3 weeks, there's 3 dates in here. We'll read those town hall meetings led by your lay leadership where you get to come and discuss it. What I don't want you to do is circle up with your little group and say, and start doing this. I'm sure that wouldn't happen at the Harrisonville church, but it happens in some Methodist churches that I've been in. They start, yeah. Well, you know, if that starts and you hear it, here's a nice magic word. Stop it. That yeah, I know that, you know, when that noise starts rising, just say, that's not how we're going to do this. So it makes it, we're just not going to act like that. I don't need you to agree or disagree, but I don't want the yeah stuff. So there's a place, an opportunity of 3 places that you come share your opinions and what you think. You don't have to do this. If you don't do it, it's fine. It's our opinions. If you want help from us down the road to help you do it, we're happy that you say yes and we'll do it. The worst thing you could do is say yes when you really mean no. Do not do that, because that just means 4 months from now we'll have problems here. Your reporting to yes will wish we'd never have come, because you'll be wrangling with each other, and we'll be back in here and you'll have to vote it back out. And we've had that happen a couple times. Best just to say no up front if you don't want to do it. If you want to do it, then we're happy to help you and walk with you and help in any way we want. If you don't want to do it, that's okay. And not every church does it, and our opinions are just a set of opinions, experienced opinions that come here. So what I'm going to do is read it today. I'm not taking any questions. Because if you start asking questions, that means you're trying to form an opinion today. And I don't want you doing that. If you have a technical question, you don't understand what I just read, I get you can ask that, but I don't want the why question. I want you to write those down and share them at the town hall meetings. When we're going to pass the report out, I want you to stay on the front page. Don't do what the students do at school and go to the back page. That will be very hard for you. I know how this works. You'll want to get to the prescriptions. Please stay with me at the front so you understand why we've written what we've written. Okay? And so that's our deal. So let's hand them out, and we will just read down through it, and I will explain a little bit along the way of what we've done. And by the way, you will vote on this in a written ballot with Cody Collier here for a church conference. It's all or none. They always ask that question, why is it all or none? Because what you'll do if you take it apart is you'll try to do the easy stuff, and you'll not get to the hard stuff, and you actually won't get the results you'd hope for. And again, our result we're hoping for is that you reach more younger, diverse people. All right, everybody got one? Somebody at your page is turned to the back page. Turn it back over at your table. All right, here we go. It has been a great privilege to work with Reverend Scott Bailey Kirk, the staff, leaders, congregation of Harrisonville United Methodist Church in Harrisonville, Missouri. Everyone has been very helpful and provided us all the information that was required for us to conduct in consultation. Our prayer is that that God will use this report and this process to motivate the congregation to do great things for the Lord's mission in this community and beyond. Everybody cooperated with us. We appreciated all that. Nobody tried to hide anything or wouldn't tell us something. And you're one of 65 churches that's in this process, by the way. And the ones who have gone early in it, about 50% of those are now growing by 5% or more in their worship attendance and all other areas. So we have a pretty good track record in this. But we appreciate all your help this weekend. The strengths. Could we have had more than 5? Yes. Could we have said less than 5 is what we're looking for? So these are the 5. We heard most from you. I didn't know what they were going to be when I got here. But these are what you told us. Pastor. The people of the Harrisonville UMC are fortunate to have a dedicated, hardworking leadership of Reverend Scott Bailey Kirk. Their mystery worshipers identified Scott's preaching as the highlight of their worship experience. Throughout the weekend, people praised his Bible-based sermons and motivation to move the church into the future. We heard that over and over and over in all segments of the church, that we sure appreciate Scott's leadership. I mean, you're really fortunate to have Scott, and you said that over again. And your mystery worshipers who came in to visit with you said the best thing about, you got a very low, you're going to find this out, a very low rating for hospitality, one of the lowest we've had. You had one of the highest ratings for the pastor that they heard. So that's your high mark for folks that are coming on Sunday morning to visit. So that's a good thing. 2, closeness of the members. We heard from everyone that the members of the Harrisonville UMC are a close-knit group of people. It's very loving and caring towards one another. The people of the congregation generally enjoy being in fellowship with each other. That's not an uncommon trait in the Methodist Church, but you all like each other an awful lot. And there's a close-knit family here, and you help each other out a lot, and it's a good thing. 3, facilities. The church's existing facility has more than adequate space for growing ministries and increased worship attendance. The facility has honored its history with the integration of elements from the previous location and positioned the church for a fruitful future. Can't hardly say that. I mean, there's actually very few churches in Missouri that have a facility like you have. In fact, I do not know a single church of your size that has this size of facility, unless it's in one of the city churches that's old and declining and in the wrong place. You're in the right place. It's a great facility. You need some updating, but you're just so much better. I even drove down by the old one just to remind myself where it was. Good thing you moved. So good work on your part. 4, this sound financial resources. The church members have been responsible financially. Stewardship resulting in no current debt, as well as the reserves for future facility needs. Historically and currently, apportionments have been paid in full, and the resources have been used for additional missional needs. You've done a great job with your stewardship and generosity, and the church is well positioned and in a position able to do something. You're not drowning like most of our churches financially, where you can't do something. You're still strong enough as a congregation to go do something pretty great. You keep not doing something great, that's going to go away from you. But right now, you're in a good position. 5, new outwardly focused ministries. There are new outwardly focused ministries which have been started in the past year. Examples include the Trunk or Treat, the Spring Fling, the free baby changing station at the Burnt District Community Festival. Couldn't hardly say that. Then I had to be reminded what that was. Then I knew. They burnt down Creighton too. We were hopeful that these and other outwardly focused ministries would bear fruit in the coming years. You really have started to do some outwardly focused things that attract people you don't know. You've done a few. It's mostly been initiated by Scott and some of the mission folks. That's a really good start. Now, y'all give a lot of money to a lot of different mission things, but you don't do very much where you roll up your sleeves and go meet new people through mission things. You need to think of it. That's what you got to start doing. So if you're going to give a can of food to something, follow the can of food to the house. Don't give the can of food to another agency to give to another agency to give to somebody. Why don't we go with it all the way to the house and actually meet the people that we're giving the food to, or the clothes, or the... You get my point? Whatever. All right, here's the concerns. Lack of shared mission and vision. There's no clear shared vision to accomplish an outwardly focused mission. I'll just stop. You are pretty inwardly focused on you in most of your ministries. The church has not embraced God's mission